So Garmin have updated the Forerunner lineup again, and this time with the all-new Forerunner 70, which kind of supersedes the older and aging Forerunner 55, and the Forerunner 170, which now supersedes the Forerunner 165 that came out a couple of years ago. Both are aimed at beginners as well as intermediate runners, and in this video I'll talk about their key features, differences as well as similarities between these two Forerunners, heart rate sensor accuracies, battery, and much more, so you can make an informed decision whether to get the Forerunner 70 or the Forerunner 170. Okay, so I'm going to start off with differences in prices. The Forerunner 70 will set you back $250 or 220 pounds, while the 170 will cost you more, coming in at $300 or 260 pounds. Then there's a music version in the Forerunner 170 coming in at a higher price of $350 or 300 pounds. The main difference between the standard and the music edition of the 170 being, as the name suggests, the music version getting Spotify, Deezer, Amazon Music, Tidal and so on as streaming services where you can load your playlists and use them offline whilst you're out and about. So if you're looking at cost, the Forerunner 70 is the cheapest out of the bunch here. Okay, with the prices aside, let's talk about the design of both of these Forerunners. Both watches look quite similar. There's differences in colors though. So the 70 comes in 4 colors and they're all single color options, whereas the 170 comes in 6 different colors, 2 for the standard edition and 4 for the music edition, and all 6 have dual color effects going on. Both are made of Garmin's standard fiber reinforced polymer with silicon straps, and when it comes to the overall physical design philosophy, pretty much similar to all of the recent Forerunners. So for example, on this Forerunner 70 you've got 3 buttons on the left hand side and then 2 on the right, along with the touchscreen display. Both also get this Forerunner lettering etched on the side. The activity start button is the same circular shape and size as the other buttons, and I do kind of miss their slightly larger button here like the last generation of Forerunners did. The display on both is also the same, made of chemically strengthened glass, which was the same material used in the 165 previously, which is inferior to the Gorilla Glass 3 being used on the Forerunner 570 and the sapphire crystal glass being used on the Forerunner 970, which I've got here, and these two sit above the 70 and 170 in the Forerunner lineup. Now the display on both is a colorful AMOLED display, bright enough from my experience, and the 70 being a successor to the Forerunner 55 gets this massive change from the older MIP display to this AMOLED display, which some of you might like, and I know for sure some of you will not like. Me personally, I like AMOLED displays and I have had no major issues with this so far. There's also no metallic protective bezel around the displays like the 570 and 970 do, so these might be a bit more vulnerable to bumps and scratches. And like I mentioned previously, the 170 gets a music edition with built-in streaming services, which the 70 unfortunately does not get, and consequently there's also a memory difference between the two. You see, the 70 gets a smaller 512 megabytes of storage and the 170 gets 4 gigabytes regardless of the standard or music edition. And on the back of both of these Forerunners, you get Garmin's Elevate V4 optical heart rate sensor for heart rate tracking on and off activities. And it's a shame that Garmin haven't included their Elevate V5 sensor, the most recent edition, like they do have on the 570 and 970. These optical heart rate sensors are exactly the same as the 165 did a couple of years ago. And I feel this would have been an amazing opportunity to include that newer generation at a lower price with the 70 and 170. Nevertheless, I've tested and compared the V4 heart rate sensor against the V5 in the past, and there are some subtle differences when you look closer between the two. The V4 is a bit more jittery and has random spikes occasionally, whereas the V5 is a bit more smooth and more accurate when compared against chest straps. It's a very similar story here when testing the Forerunner 70 and 170, like on this chart here for strength training session. And for this interval session, you can see very similar tiny fluctuations against the more stable readings from the 970. Overall, both of these Forerunners still get a reliant, robust and a pretty good optical heart rate sensor, but it is still last gen, and I guess Garmin are trying to create a feature gap between their lower end Forerunners like the 70 and 170 here and their higher end Forerunners like the 570 and 970 by reserving the Elevate V5 sensor only to their premium models. Right, looking at the software side of things, both the 70 and 170 get Garmin's new software. They feel quite snappy, smooth, and I have not experienced any stutters or lags during my use. They follow Garmin's typical approach to summarizing metrics as glances, which I personally like, and you can dive deep into each metric to get a bit more information on past data, trends, and so on. The software is an upgrade from the older 165 and generally in line with the newer Forerunners, with apps, activities, system settings, etc. all in this single menu here. Speaking of activities, both the 70 and 170 get more than 80 activities built in, which is a huge upgrade over the 15 or so activities on the older 55 and the 25 or so activities on the 165. So you'll definitely find something that you're after. However, both the 170 and the 70 don't get multi-sport profiles like triathlons or duathlons, and for that you'll have to look at the more expensive 570 or the 970. And whilst we're on activities, diving a bit deeper into the training metrics on offer here, both of these watches get Garmin's training status feature, which gives you a longer term perspective of your training beyond your day-to-day activities, and that's the feature that tells you whether you're maintaining your fitness, you're productive, strained, unproductive, detraining, peaking for a race, etc. Very useful to have for beginner runners. They also get training readiness, which tells you whether to slow down a bit to give your body a chance to recover and absorb all of that training, or if you've recovered well enough to take on another challenging workout. Training load is also featured on the 70 and 170, which tracks your acute and chronic training load, as well as your training effect, which computes whether your activity had an aerobic or anaerobic effect on your system. This is really good news, as the older 55 and 165 didn't get quite a lot of those training metrics, and if you're into running, cycling, or any other form of endurance sports, these are essential metrics to keep track of, which the 70 and 170 will give you. And on the recovery side of your training, both the 70 and 170 get metrics like heart rate variability, sleep tracking, a dedicated sleep coach, nap detection, stress tracking, and so on to manage your recovery. Both also get evening reports, which give a summary of your day's activities, impact on body battery and training readiness, weather forecast for tomorrow, sleep requirements, and training suggestions. And on top of that, there's plenty of settings, data screens, alerts, and features like race predictors available here to customize your training and keep an eye on your progress. Smart functionalities on both of these Forerunners are pretty much the same and very similar to the older 165. You can receive all sorts of notifications from your phone, even images sent in chats if you're using an Android phone. Unfortunately, you can't make or receive phone calls on either of these Forerunners, given they don't have a mic and speaker like the 570 and 970 do. And because of the lack of a mic, you also can't use voice commands or summon your smart assistant, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android phone. When Garmin Pay for using NFC to pay for things outdoors is available on the 170 but not on the 70, definitely something to keep in mind if you're used to paying using a smartwatch or sports watch. I definitely do on the 970. You can also view other notifications from your phone and reply to incoming texts using quick replies that you can customize in the Garmin Connect, but you won't get a full QWERTY keyboard on these watches, which the 570 and 970 get. There's also the weather app, Find My Phone, music streaming like I mentioned only on the 170 Music Edition, and other apps available on Garmin Connect IQ. Okay, let's move on to location tracking, and both of these wearables only get a single band GNSS antenna, which is less accurate than the multi-band setups on say the 570 and 970. And here's a quick comparison of the Forerunner 70 with its single band setup versus the 970 with its dual band antenna. And there are some obvious differences in this area under the tree coverage, where the 970 just looks a bit more refined and accurate, as well as here with the segregation in the road as well as road crossings. I mean, don't get me wrong, the single band antenna on the 70 and the 170 is not bad by any means. This is just to show you what the differences are and what you're getting between the lower end of the Forerunner range versus the higher range. It's a shame though, as competitors like Coros with their Pace 4 have dual band setups at a very competitive price, but then again, Coros don't have an extensive lineup like Garmin do, and it's very clear here how Garmin are creating this price gap by limiting certain hardware features on the lower end of their lineup. Now, whilst we're on location tracking, let's talk about maps and courses, and both the 70 and 170 get breadcrumbs navigation like the 570 does, rather than full-blown offline maps available on the top-end 970. Breadcrumbs navigation on the 70 and 170 is still usable, and you get turn-by-turn navigation as well, but Garmin's competitors are cramming in full-blown offline maps in their wearables at similar price ranges like the Coros Pace Pro, which I've reviewed extensively in the past. Video is in the top-out banner right now if you're interested. Alright, let's talk about battery. And the 70 can last for up to 13 days on a single charge, and the 170 up to 10 days in smartwatch mode. The 70 can last for up to 16 hours and the 170 for up to 14 hours in all GNSS mode. And in my experience, these Forerunners tend to lose 2 to 4% when sleeping, 4 to 7% for a mix of indoor and outdoor workouts, and they last a few days less than their official claim in smartwatch mode. So expect around 8 to 10 days on the 70 and 6 to 7 days on the 170. And finally, let's talk about the app experience. Whichever Forerunner you go for, the Garmin Connect app interface is going to be exactly the same, with all of your health, performance and recovery metrics, training programs, Garmin coach plans, all in one place with comprehensive data and trends. Activity data is also presented really well for both watches, with your advanced running metrics all presented in these detailed charts here. You won't get metrics like the stamina prediction, the step speed loss and impact loading for runs, as those are reserved mainly for the higher end Forerunners, but still the data presented here is more than enough for most runners out there. There's also a ton of similar features for both, including things like a muscle heat map for specific muscle groups for strength training, automatic rep counters at the gym, a large database of workouts if you're feeling lost, and you can also create your own route for outdoor activities and transfer them to both of these watches very easily. There's also the option to subscribe to Garmin's Connect Plus service for some enhanced features, but to be honest, I haven't really felt the need to do that even after being a long-time Garmin user. And overall, Garmin Connect is still one of the most comprehensive health, recovery and training packages out there, and you can't go wrong with the app coming along with these two Forerunners. So then, should you get the Forerunner 70 or the 170? Now, I think both of these are really good sports wearables, providing good heart rate tracking accuracy, training as well as recovery metrics. And if you're a beginner looking to get your first sports wearable for running, cycling or other activities, both of these can be really good starting points in Garmin's Forerunner lineup. But if you're trying to move from Forerunner 55 to the 70 or the 170 here, the upgrades will look decent to you as long as you don't mind moving from MIP displays. And if you're a 165 user looking to get the 170, the only reason I'd get the 170 is for the upgrades and availability of additional training metrics. But don't expect a new heart rate sensor at the back here. This still uses the previous generation Elevate V4 sensor. And if you wanted the new V5 sensor, you're gonna have to look much higher in the Forerunner lineup, like the 570 or the 970. And if you're into multi-sports like triathlons, duathlons, aquathlons and so on, neither of these will do multi-sports. Again, you'll have to look at the 570 and 970 in the Forerunner lineup. Alright, as always, I just want to say a massive thanks to all of you amazing subscribers, and to new viewers, don't be shy from pressing the subscribe button, especially if you don't want to miss out on my in-depth review of the all-new Garmin Circa. See you in the next one.
3, 2, 1. Anywhere I'm at, turn the city up. I can flip a dial to a million. I don't like to brag, but I'm really on. 3, 2, 1. Anywhere I'm at, turn the city up. 3, 2, 1. I don't like to brag, but I'm really on. It's a new